Everybody, hope you're having an awesome snowy cold day. We are. We're finally done with the initial build of Karen. We set aside $6,500, which we figured was an average build budget. So we wanted to give you a quick walk around and just kind of show everything we've done to it and the parts we chose and why. Crap, it's cold. So we're inside Karen. I wanted to give you a backstory on it, what it is, and why we chose it. Karen is a 2011 Jeep JK Rubicon. It has the new interior. There we go. It has the new interior, better seats, better steering wheel, tons of room, a lot more room than LJ did. She's got 61,000 miles on it, on her. It is a automatic 4-speed transmission. It does have the 3.8 liter V6, which in my opinion has less power, but at the same time more reliability. One of the reasons we chose this is because it's a Rubicon. It's a really good platform to start off with. A lot of people who want to get into off-roading and don't have a big budget to start off with, they definitely want to get into a Rubicon because it already comes with bigger axles, better suspension. It comes with sway bar disconnects, axle locks, all that fun trickery stuff. We call it magic buttons. So it comes with all that fun stuff, so that way you can go ahead and buy it, get in it, and go and be pretty much ready to tackle just about anything. A stock JK is very capable out of the box. As far as comfortability, space for a family, and at the same time capable off-road, you can't beat a JK. So when we bought Karen, obviously it's got the 3.8 liter engine. There was a couple things already done to it. If you can see, it's got aftermarket headers on both sides, which are a performance upgrade, as well as a throttle body spacer from Air Raid. It looks like somebody was trying to definitely get some more power out of it. Of course, these things are not known for their power. But adding things like this are pretty much just a waste of time. They don't really do anything. Definitely anything like a supercharger, a tune, or even an engine swap is definitely the way to go. Karen is a Rubicon. She comes with Dana 44s from the factory, locked and ready to go. So we didn't really see any point in doing an axle swap or anything like that because you really don't need more than that, especially running a 37. Now, if you're running a bigger tire or if you beat on it really, really hard, then, you know, something like a ton or a junkyard axle swap may be something you're interested in. But for the most of us, we don't do anything like that. We're very technical. We take care of our vehicles, especially when you put, you know, a bunch of money into them. So let's take a look and see what we did to the axles here. So on the front axle, we did our Ultimate Dana 44 kit, which is a top axle truss, and that keeps the axle from basically breaking in half. Obviously, we're not going to beat on it that hard, but we just wanted a little bit of peace of mind. We also did the C gussets, so you have an upper C gusset and a lower C gusset right there. That's all welded in because you don't want these C's, especially with 37-inch tires. These C's are very, very weak, and so this top C will get bent like this, and this tire will start to curve in. You definitely don't want that. So these guys prevent that. It's just preventive. We went with a BK Fab 1-ton steering kit, which is beautiful, color painted to match. The factory steering kit comes with ball joints, a ball joint style tie rod ends, which are garbage, especially for off-road and big tires. So this steering kit is not only 2-inch DOM tubing, and it's going to, I don't know why there's a smudge there. Smudgy, smudgy, smudgy. But it's 2-inch DOM tubing. You couldn't bend that to save your life, which the stock steering bends real easy. And this stuff gets replaced with 3/4-inch heims, which have a 10-year lifespan. You only have to get one alignment, and that's it. We finished the steering off with a Rancho heavy-duty steering stabilizer. We did 538 gears front and rear with the Rancho diff cover. The bolts are recessed into the diff cover. That's why we like this guy so much. That way, when you get the crap beat out of it, especially on bottom, you can just shave it down and you can still get them off. We did chromoly axle shafts, front and rear, heavy-duty ball joints. That way, all the front end suspension is nice and tight. It's it's a little bit of overkill, but at the same time, that's what you want. You don't want to be out on the trail and something happen or something bend or something break prematurely or something wear itself out while on the trail. And so you get off the trail and you start driving home, and then all of a sudden you get some wobbles and all sorts of other stuff. So we overkilled it, but at the same time, these are really, really cheap mods. I mean, most of it didn't really cost, there wasn't one part on that entire front end that cost more than $300 each. So, I mean, very inexpensive for peace of mind, and it just strengthens it ridiculously. So let's check it out on the rear. On the rear, we did the exact same thing. We did our Ultimate 44 kit with a Rancho heavy-duty diff cover with our top truss on top with G2's top truss. We did chromoly axle shaft from 10 factory, and we did a high riser track bar relocation kit from Rancho. We've got the Rancho ES 9000 shocks front and rear on a Rancho 4-inch crawler system lift. We love this lift because of what it does for you. This kit is absolutely amazing. It flexes like a mad dog, and at the same time, it doesn't use any sort of Johnny joints. What it uses is called a D2 bushing. So essentially, your factory Jeep or your factory control arms come with a heat welded rubber bushing. Well, this guy does not like to move, and it does not like to flex. And of course, going off-road, that's all you're gonna be doing. So with Johnny joints, like a lot of these off-road companies make, they think it's the best because it gives you that articulation and lets it roll around, but at the same time, they're very maintenance heavy. They squeak, they rattle, and when they start to go out, they actually start to jam around on the bolt, wearing out the holes, things like that, and then trying to put anything else in there is practically impossible. So we went with the Rancho kit because every single control arm comes with their new D2 bushing, and that bushing is just like the factory bushing, but what it does is it allows for misalignment. So it allows, that bushing allows that control arm to actually, it doesn't rotate, but it actually allows it to misalign up to about 30 degrees and then realign itself. So it's self-aligning, no maintenance, no lubing, no Zerk fittings, none of that crap, no squeaks, rattles, rolls, or anything else. So it acts like a factory suspension bushing, but at the same time, it's way more flexible, so it's way more durable and allows you to flex off-road. Which, and again, 4 inches is pretty cool. For JKs, any sort of lift that you do is, I would say it's a lot bigger than any sort of like TJ, because if you go to TJ lifts, 2 inches doesn't look like squat. But if you put a 2-inch lift on a JK, it actually looks really, really high. So we went with a 4-inch because number one, it's just high enough to where we're gonna be doing great off-road. We have plenty of clearance. If you look under the Jeep, we have a ton of ground clearance. That way we're not gonna be dragging on everything. And at the same time, it's still not big enough to where you would need long arms or some sort of major geometry correction brackets or anything like that. Because if you look at this Rancho kit, it retains the factory mounting. So there's no cutting, welding, anything like that. This kit bolts right on up, no problems. The only downside that I don't like about the Rancho kit is that the shocks, the bottom sleeve where it goes into the axle. So where it mounts to the axle, right here on all the shocks, that sleeve, the sleeve in there is way too wide and it doesn't go in the mount. So you have to trim off that and off this just to be able to put the shock in the mount. So that is the one downside we don't like. Also, the rear track bar bracket, it raises it up, but at the same time, if you have trusses like we do, it will not allow for the truss because it's a clamp-on style. So what we did was just cut that off and we bolted that new relocation bracket in there and we got her weld up. So we also installed the G2 high-rise track bar mount. Basically what this does is, and one of the things we don't like about the Rancho kit is the rear comes with that bracket that brings up the rear track bar. but it doesn't come with a front, so it's kind of annoying. I wish Rancho would fix that. So what happens is if the back is raised up and the front is not raised up, it sits back in its factory location, which is somewhere down here. What happens is the Jeep kind of drives like this going down the road. You kind of have to control it and things like that, so it kind of drives like a worm. So G2 has come out with this high-rise track bar mount, and pretty much you cut the old track bar mount off. This gets welded in its place. It's not a bolt-on kit. This is a weld-on kit. And also the sway bar links here, the factory mount for it is right here, and if you have quick disconnects or anything like that, you have to pull the pin and then grab the thing and bring it over here, but it hits, and so you can't get it out and bring it up. So this guy, the factory sway bar link mounts get completely cut off, and this is the new link mount, and it's made into it. So it's really cool. So instead of mounting over here, it mounts way over here, and that way if you have quick disconnects or anything like that, you can just pull the pin, pull out, up, good to go. You don't have to worry about it anymore. But it just welds on, no issues, and it's a great spot to mount the steering stabilizer, all that fun stuff. It also comes with a passenger side mount as well. So the factory mount usually sits right there, so that gets cut off and this guy gets welded in its place, so that mounts a lot more further in, so you can actually swap the bolts. The bolt would go in that way into this bracket over here, but the bolt gets swapped around, goes in that way, so if you have quick disconnects, you can just pull that pin real easy and put it over there. So now it keeps it really nice straight up and down. And I forgot to mention is we also did the G2's lower control arm skid plate. So that's down here. What these guys do is the factory mounts are very, very weak. It's real thin metal. And so when you go off-road, these are the first things to get the shit kicked out of them. So what happens is these brackets actually bend one way or get crunched or something like that. So this skid plate pretty much welds on and it reinforces these mounts, and also it protects the very front of the control arm heim or whatever you're using. It protects this guy so from getting that kicked the shit out of or anything else. As far as driveline, we went with Rough Country 1310 drive shafts. A lot of people go to 1350s, which in this case, I'm running 37s. I'm a very technical driver. I don't see I don't bounce or anything like that like a lot of people do. So having 1350s is kind of just unnecessary. So again, also when you add something that strong, you're making your weak point into something else. So if your drive shaft doesn't break first, well then you might break an axle shaft. But if you have chromolyes, well then your weak point is the ring gear and pinion. And if you break that going down the road, that's not a trail fix. Pretty much you're just getting skull dragged out. So this is the rear 1310 Rough Country. Again, they have a bad rap for making bad parts and good parts. So in my opinion, this is some of their really good parts. We also did their here's the rock lights as well. They're tucked in each corner. That way we have some light when we go on any sort of off-road situations where it rolls into the night, or if we go night wheeling, something like that, we have some sort of light. And pretty much what they do is they light up the wheel well area. So you don't have any lights on your vehicle that lights up just this area, this half circle right here. Nothing lights up that except for rock lights. So when you're off-roading in the dark, you can actually see what you're doing, what you're about to crawl up on, or what you need to back up onto, or something else. You can actually see what you're doing, and that's all they're for. And let's see, as far as rubber goes, we went with the Cooper STT Pros on the KMC Machete beadlocks. The reason we went with these beadlocks is, number one, we didn't want to go to a normal wheel because we knew we wanted something that could not only drive great on the street, but also wanted something that would do great off-road. If we got into a really nasty situation, we could air down and get all that traction. So we wanted to go with a beadlock instead of a regular wheel. That way we don't have any sort of issue to where the tire pops off the bead. We just don't want that. That's terrible. Beadlocks are just a peace of mind. So went with the KMC's especially because they have channels for water to come out of it. So a lot of times, I know if you've ever washed your Jeep, you get standing water right in here, and it's dirty and everything else. It actually stains the wheel. So what KMC did is they actually put water ports. You can see my finger. Water ports all the way around the wheel. That way water and dirt and mud and everything else can come out through those water ports. And that way that you don't have any standing water. Also, if you're running through deep mud, mud can come out of those ports, and that way it doesn't dry and act like a counterweight on your wheels and tires. So when you get out of the trail, it doesn't vibrate the absolute crap out of you. The reason we went with Cooper Discovers are awesome. They have awesome on-road manners. They have awesome off-road manners. They flat spot a little bit. I don't like that, but it's just part of it. It's a mud terrain tire. It's a real soft compound. So pretty much what a flat spot is when you get in your Jeep in the morning and it's cold or hot or whatever, or if you haven't driven it in a while and you start driving, you kind of get that hop for the first couple of miles. That's what flat spotting is. It's just because the tire is really big and because of the tire compound, so it kind of creates a little flat section right where it was sitting. These do that a little bit, and then really, if you have a soft top, they're pretty loud. But when you have a hard top like this, and it's kind of really enclosed, JKs have awesome sound deadening, so they're not that bad. Also for weight, we talked about weight in tires the other day. If you go up to a lot of different tire manufacturers, they have a lot of different weights. For perfect example, in a 37, 1250 17 on a Nitto, they weigh somewhere around the 85 to 90 pound range per wheel or per tire. These are one of the lightest 37s you can buy on the market, behind Goodyear Kevlar MTRs and the BF Goodwrench All-Terrains. The BF Goodwrench All-Terrains are the lightest, but you don't want that tire, especially down on the East Coast, because all they're going to do is just get caked up with mud and just turn into a slick. So having a mud tire is pretty much the best because of what terrain we're going through. So super lightweight, awesome reliability, choosability. So, if I want to go to 20 PSI because it's a dirt road, cool. If I want to go to 12 PSI because things get a little hairy, cool. If I want to go to 4 PSI because I need to get out of there, I can do it. So, and it's just peace of mind. For bumpers, we went with Warn Elite Series front and rear. Unfortunately, this rear bumper is made for Warn's tire carrier. That piece is still on back order, so we had to use we had to custom screw-ulate something together to make this spare tire fit on here for now. That way I have a spare tire, but this guy's on back order. But the Warn bumpers are awesome. They make an awesome product with their winches, so definitely they make an awesome product for their bumpers. Great quality, bolt right in, no problems. And then on the front bumper, we got Warn's Warn Elite stubby front bumper. They make a full width, they make a mid width, and then they make this stubby with a bar that goes over top of the winch. Bar is completely unnecessary because we're not putting a bunch of stupid light bars and fog lights and all that crazy shit on there, so we don't need that. It's just extra weight. So having a basic simple bumper. Now for bumpers, people ask me all the time, well, why do people go to stubbies? Well, the whole reason for that is when you go off-roading and you're about to hit a big obstacle, big rock, something like that, you want the tire to come in contact with the obstacle before the bumper does, because all you're going to do is just beat the shit out of the bumper. So a stubby, what it does is it completely allows the tire, wow, that was stupid, the tire to hit the obstacle first before you have to hit the bumper and then go to the tire. So that's all it does. Let's see. Rough country stainless steel brake lines. Progressive rate cool springs. That's another thing that we love about the Rancho kit. Progressive rate cool springs are really cool because what they do is no matter how heavy you are, it changes the spring rate to how loaded you are. So if you're super lightweight build, it'll ride just the same as a super loaded down Overlander. It changes spring rates the more you load it up, so it rides almost the same. As far as the winch goes, we talked about that earlier. That's the Warn Xeon 10S. It's wired and wireless, so you don't have to get out of the vehicle, especially in a sketchy situation. There's been multiple times where things happened and and I had to pull the e-brake, put it in park. We had to stack like 9 boulders behind it to make sure it didn't move, and to get out to actually winch ourselves up. And with this, you just press a button so your spotter or your friend can just go out there, grab it, and all you got to do is take it out of your center console and press the button. So that's a huge thing. Warn makes the best bumpers, in my opinion, the highest quality bumpers. And honestly, at this level of off-roading that we're at, you know, when things go wrong, things have gone drastically wrong. You don't want something that's just going to shit out on you, break, not work, or something like that, because usually your life or your $30,000 Jeep is in danger, and so you want something that is going to be the best. That way it can get you out of trouble. Other than that, everything else, I don't really think of anything else. Well, that's about it, guys. If you got any more questions for me, hopefully I answered all your questions and why we chose the parts that we did. If you got any questions, got any comments, please let us know. Give us a shout, drop a comment, ask a question, and I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for stopping by.